This is me doing something that just 5 months prior I thought was impossible. And this is the final obstacle in my way before I prove to everyone and myself that I'm capable of beating hard levels despite my disadvantages. So, how did we get here? I was 9 years old, having a sleepover with my friends. We were chilling in my family's game room when my friend pulled out his iPad and, started playing a mobile game. Can you guess what that game was? After that, he opened a silly little game called Geometry Dash. He was pretty good at it too. He got past 20% almost every attempt, which was just mind-boggling to me. I borrowed his tablet and tried playing it, but I couldn't get past the third pillar in Stereo Madness, the easiest level in the game. Actually, Back on Track is the easiest. If you told me at that time that 7 years later I would be able to beat the level he was playing in only 1 attempt, 2 attempts, 3 attempts, 4... You know what, never mind. A few years later, I downloaded Geometry Dash on my iPod Touch, just to see if I could get any farther. To my surprise, I was able to beat Stereo Madness after a few weeks. And to this day, I still get nervous at the triple spike. At that point, I thought, well, that's where it ends. There's no way I can beat the second level, since it's so much harder. But I decided to try anyways. Once I beat Back on Track, I thought I'd never be able to beat any normal levels. Fire in the hole! But surely I wouldn't be able to beat base after base. Surely I wouldn't be able to beat any harder levels, to beat a purple face level, to beat club step, to beat a medium demon. Surely I won't be able to beat 9 circles. And here we are today. But throughout all those successes, one thing became increasingly noticeable. It took me way longer than the average person to beat levels. Doctors have told me in the past that I have unusually low reaction time and fine motor skills, at least when it comes to complex things like sports. Which explains why I spent 7,000 attempts on club step, over 1,000 attempts on B, and 20,000 attempts on 9 circles. But one day I had free time in school, and I decided to play the last wave of the popular extreme demon Cataclysm. To my surprise, I actually got pretty far in the wave pretty consistently. The last wave, not the first one. The first one is literally hell. And that reminds me, now is a good time to introduce you to Cataclysm. Cataclysm is a legendary extreme demon popularized as the first extreme demon to ever be verified legitimately. It was verified by Gearon, or if you're still in the first stage of grief from his hacking allegations, Cyclic. Riot, it's been 8 years. You need to let go.
He is not a cheater, and I have proof. Cyclic, this one's for you!
So, let's go through the different parts of Cataclysm one by one. The first cube is pretty easy. Even I can do it every time. Unless I'm glancing at someone's Discord screen share, it's not what it looks like, I swear. The first wave right after the cube, though, is actually insane. It's the hardest part of the level, and even at the end, I only passed it an average of once every 3 or 4 attempts. It actually took me a few hundred attempts to get past the first wave my first time. Then we have the drop. The first ship is pretty straightforward, except for some reason there are invisible mini portals, and I swear that confused me for the longest time. Then we have this really basic wave. I died there 786 times, and then we have this ball. Now, this ball is pretty easy, except for this triple click right here. I have to click here 3 times in very quick succession in order to get past. And as I said, my fine motor skills are horrible, so it was incredibly difficult for me to perform those 3 precise, quick clicks consistently. Then we go past the rest of the ball and get to the UFO. And I swear to God, this pink orb is the spawn of Satan. I died there so many times early on. Luckily though, eventually I got consistent. Consistent. Never mind. And then we have the ship at 40%. Oh boy, This 2-second long segment prevented me from beating the level for over 2 extra months. I just could not pass the thing. It was so inconsistent. But more on that later. After the 40% ship, there's a decently difficult cube, and then from there, it's easier than the beginning of the level. Don't get me wrong though, the second half of the level is still really hard. However, I won't be going over those individual parts because they're not super important to this story. You know, since I rarely got there at all. So as I was saying, once I got home from school, I decided to try and beat the level starting at the last wave. And I died to the GG sign. Multiple times. A few months after that, I did the run, and I decided to try and play from the second half of the ship at 70%. It took me hundreds of attempts, but eventually I got past the first obstacle. And then I managed to get past the second one. And after a few thousand attempts, I made it to the last wave. Eventually, I did 69 to 100. And then I decided, screw it. I'll play from the beginning of the last ship. And many attempts later, and I mean many attempts later, I did that to 100%. So finally, I decided to go one start position back and play from 51%. For the next few weeks of summer break, I had one goal. Get 51 to 100 on Cataclysm. Then drop the level forever. It took me weeks and 40,000 attempts, but eventually I did it. And that would have been where it ended. But a few months ago, and by a few months ago, I mean a few months ago as the time I started this video. How long ago was that? But a few months ago, I sat down and said, screw it. I'm gonna play from 18% and see how far I can get. So for the next 2 weeks, I played the first, much harder half of the level. And after almost 100,000 total attempts, including the ones from earlier, I got to 51% from the drop. Meaning that once I got to the drop from 0 a few hours later, I would have the level in 3 runs. And it was at this point that I finally realized, hey, maybe I can actually do this. So then began my grind to actually beat Cataclysm. At first, progress was slow. I mean, the whole time progress was slow. But hey look, it only took me a week to get to 40%. Surely I'll beat it soon. Famous last words. Then, finally, over 2 months after I first got to the 40 ship, I got to 51% from 0. Meaning I had the level in only 2 runs.
Thank you! Holy shit, thank you!
And after that, it felt like a huge weight was lifted off my shoulders. I became less angry and was able to make more progress. Soon I ended up getting not only to the 64% ship, but halfway through it too.
I got 70, Jesus Christ, I got 70. I got to like halfway through the last ship.
Unfortunately, for the entirety of December after that, there was almost no progress. Right before the new year though, me and my friends in a voice chat decided to make a challenge where I had to beat the Cataclysm 40% ship 5 times in a row. And honestly, I think that practice of the 40% ship was what allowed me to beat the level so quickly after that. Finally, after over 4 months of grinding and almost a year of playing the level on and off, I did this.
I'm gonna pass out. I be careful! Oh my god!
Wait,
I think
you
you're
actually
gonna
beat it?
Jesus!
Holy shit!
Holy shit!
Let's go!
Oh my god. GM attrition. I got an achievement. Let's go. Oh my god, was it? I felt like I was gonna pass out for a second there.
And that, my friends, is how I beat an extreme demon, even with my skill issue. I hope this video can inspire some of you to never give up and chase your dreams, even if it feels like everyone else chasing those same dreams is better than you. And now that I've beaten an extreme demon, I think I'm gonna take a break for a while, because there's no way I'd be able to beat any other extreme, right? Especially not one that's even harder than Cataclysm.